just before I start the video, I just want to catch you guys up on how the last few races went. So yeah, not the greatest few weeks, but now we're heading to Dubbo for the New South Wales state titles. It's around about a 5-hour drive, and this is to prove myself against the best in the state. So I'm just going to take you on board for a hot lap here to show you the track. Coming down to turn 1, late braking. It's a double apex, so carry as much speed as you can through the first, get on the throttle late, set it up for the third corner, then down towards Joker's Inc. Get it rotated early, and over with that bump on the right. And then quick change of direction, right and then left. Make sure to have it flat out through the left. And then up the hill, this is where engine power will really shine, which is what we didn't have. Fast left-hander here. Keep it steady, late braking. Get it rotated for the slowest corner on the track. And then here you go down the hill, where engine power isn't as important. Just try and keep it as straight as line as possible. Late braking here. Late apex, turn it in on the throttle. Nice, bring it out wide. And then for the final corner, just wait for it to rotate and then slam on the throttle. And there you go, there's a hot lap of Dubbo. So, preparing to head out for qualifying now. Had a really good practice the weekend before, and showed very promising signs of pace. But in qualifying, I managed to completely stuff up where I was in terms of finding a gap, even though I decided to head out last to make sure I did have that gap. I just kept managing to catch somebody when I went for a flying lap, and this messed up pretty much my whole session, and I only really had one flying lap, and that was my final lap. And in that final lap, I completely underdrove it, and that's why I'm so far down the order. So starting in 15th, I really had no idea what to expect on this race start. You know, starting on the inside, which is always good here, but not done many races here, and I was not very experienced with how the race start should go, so often for the first 2 heats, I left way too big a gap on the starts. As you can see here, he kind of just gaps me there, but trying to look for any opportunity I can to get through here, trying to just pick a line and stick to it, trying to go around the outside. The person on the inside has a bit of a slide, and then I'm carrying a lot more speed, and then there's a bit of a scuffle ahead, and I go into the side of Lachlan Jeffrey, and then I am stuck. I'm stuck, and I'm trying to get out, trying to lose as little time as I can, push myself off, and then get back on the track. But by the time I get back, I'm a long way back compared to everyone else. And yeah, so this kind of stuffed up any chances of being competitive in Heat 1. But that's okay though, because we recovered as best we could, tried to pick up the maximum points, but it was a bit in vain, as we did have a drop down. So the 2 places I did end up overtaking by the end of the race meant nothing, because you get a 2-place penalty for having a drop down. So yeah, tried to recover as best I could, but couldn't really do much with the situation. But there you go, going down the inside, as he has a little bit of a mistake there. But I was showing good signs of pace, at least, compared to a lot of the field. In the end, coming home a disappointing 13th, but after the penalty, 15th. So then going out for Heat 2, this race was really about trying to just get up the field, keep it clean and get up the field, and get as maximum points to get a better starting position for the next race. But here we go, get caught absolutely lacking on the starting end. That was a theme for the first 2 races. Trying to pick a line, but I've already been sent by quite a few people in the start. And here we go down the inside of this guy, who goes out wide and then absolutely bombs it into the next turn. And here I really should have sent it down, but I know this guy likes to turn early and turn across you when you go for an overtake. So, I just wanted to be careful there and look for another opportunity to pass him. But overall, that start was pretty shocking, losing quite a few positions and going all the way down to 19th. So yeah, a pretty abysmal start, all things considered. Although I immediately pick up a position here around the outside, going 3 wide, just brake late, and then turn across them to get that position, and then try to have a run on the straights. But the engine was a bit lacking this weekend compared to everyone, even other X30s, where I should have had my strength at the end of the straights. Just absolutely nothing. But here we go, try to go down the inside, and as I said before, he moves across in the braking, and then I slam on the anchors, and that causes me to lock up and spin, which I've talked to other people, and they reckon that I should have just gone in deeper, and if he turns in, he turns in, and that's his fault, and he'll get spun off. But you live and you learn. It's a lesson for next time. Just go in harder and force him off. But yeah, in the end, come home in 17th after penalties. So a pretty disappointing weekend so far, to say the least. Only good thing about it has been practice so far. So, that's not a good sign when you're 2 heats into the weekend. But that was the last race of the day, and it was on to Sunday. So get a good night's sleep, refresh, and come back fresh for the next heat tomorrow. So my poor results in the previous heats meant I'd be starting 16th. But with some new advice on the starts and, talking to my coaches and looking at data and telemetry, I think I still have a good chance of getting into the top 10 in this race. So as you can see here, I'm absolutely pinned to the person in front of me's rear bumper, and I was full throttle way before even the final corner. So that means I get the exact same launch that everyone else on the right does, and means I get to try my luck around the outside, which sort of works out. It's one of the better outside starts you'll see. But then, yeah, not too bad. And then I see a bit of an opportunity here to follow him through, try to dive down the inside, and the person in front of me has a bit of contact and messes up my run. And then they have more contact, which means I could get to go around the outside and squeeze him into the inside of those really fast, flat-out corners. So then I see him go down the inside. Towards the back of the field, it is a bit of carnage, but, it's always a bit of fun. But yeah, this is why I always got to qualify better. Try to dive down the inside, try to follow him through, but I was too far back for that. So he gets a good run and then just passes me in the final corner. I try not to lose any more positions than that. So overall, a much better start than the other 2 races, but that's nothing to say. Still lost positions and, didn't go too far up. So not the greatest of starts, but that's really all you can hope for starting on the outside, is to not lose too many positions, because it's so hard once you're on the outside to feed back into that main pack. So here we go, following on, see him go for an almighty send. He goes in deep, gets the switchback done, and then I try and just pick a way through, but I cannot decide which way to go. And then all along the main straight, they're just rubbing against each other. I thought at least one of them was going to go off there. Slightly tapped the guy in front of me because I was just trying to find any gap that I could to try and just slide my way through, but nothing was doing there. And then following him more, because I definitely had a lot more pace than that, and then Isaac Johnson absolutely sends it up my inside, which was completely unexpected because I thought I would be going forwards, not backwards, but there you go. He sends it on another guy there. I do a bold move here to follow him through, because he leaves the inside open, leaves the gap. So trying to follow Isaac Johnson through here, see if he tries anything on the next guy in front of me as well. So coming down the hill now, he gets an absolute rocket ship launch, goes for the move from a long way back, makes contact, allowing me to go through and take those positions, and the rest of the pack has completely disappeared. And even though I did have slightly more pace than them, I could not catch up by the end of the race, leaving me to finish in 11th, which isn't too far off my goal of being in the top 10. And when you're starting 16th, you're happy to get to 11th. Speaking of starting 16th, here we go, into the final. Starting 16th once again. Using the same tactic I did last time, absolutely locked onto the guy in front of me, just full throttle from the second last corner. And then we get an okay getaway. We decide to try our luck around the outside once again. This time there's a bit of contact and I go off into the dirty stuff, which loses me quite a few positions. So now I'm looking to make them back, and I know if they don't cover the inside, I go down the inside, which is exactly what I do on the 82 there. Get a better drive out of the corner as well, and I see 88 doesn't cover the inside as well, so I do a late dive into there, leave the space, but get the move done, and now I have a bit of work to do to catch back up to Lachlan Jeffrey ahead of me. But you can see just how much time and distance I close in under the brakes there on that whole pack ahead of me. But here we go, Lachlan goes for a bit of a dive. There's a bit of contact between him and Kale, but I decide to go up the inside of Lachlan Jeffrey here. Tell him to work with me to overtake Kale, because I know how rough he can be to overtake. He defends a lot and turns in early when you're least expecting it, which is what happened to me in Heat 2, and that's exactly what happens here again. Wasn't as bad result, but we are 3 wide now. I managed to keep that position, but then up the hill I get no drive, and Lachlan overtakes me with quite a bold move there through the flat out corners. Then into the final corner of that same lap, he has a bit too much jacking, makes a mistake, slides off, and then I managed to get it done at turn 1. Back on him again, so we're not working together really too well. We're wasting a bit of time, but that's okay. He dives me into the second last corner. I go for the switchback. Do not get the drive I need. This has absolutely no mid-range, this X30. And then I tried to get another switchback, but he doesn't. And then Lachlan says to work with him again after we've been fighting pretty much the whole race. But yeah, you can see Kale does the same thing he did to me, to Lachlan there. Turned across him in the braking, and yeah. Don't have the power to get by him there. Have to concede that position, but I know that I'm much faster and I will overtake very soon, and that opportunity will be coming up now. I get a good drive and I decide that I'm going to open up this corner a lot more, because I notice that he turns really early. Open a lot more, get a better drive out of it, and then go around on the outside of him for that right-left. There you go, job done. And then that gap between me and Lachlan stayed pretty much the exact same the entire race. This is us crossing the finish line. So that whole time, I think it only fluctuated by a few tenths, the gap between us. But yeah, overall a pretty happy race, you know. Finishing in 13th isn't actually too bad, considering how big the gaps were in the field after we got by everyone, because it did take a while to get past all of the slower drivers. But yeah, overall, first state titles that I've done has been an absolute learning experience. It's been so much fun, and you know, I'll be happy to be back next year and be back for other state titles as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned, because there'll be some bigger things coming soon.